Merry Christmas, home and family.
So, look, Dr. JJ just made some wonderful food. Debbie threw some of it on the floor. Nonetheless, we're gonna be brunching here in a minute.
Oh my goodness!
But first, I can't wait to taste that.
I know.
But first, we enlisted the help of the smartest guy we know, Dan Kohler. He has answered, and he's going to answer your children's questions about Santa. And let me tell you that when your kids come to you with very logical, like, how does this reindeer fly, all this stuff, you better come up with some answers.
Yeah, and the truth is, not many of us have had the wonderful opportunity to get to know Santa, and Dan has had that. He's very rare. There are few people that walk this planet that know Santa except for the elves.
You know, what can I say? Their PR people reached out to me.
Right, well, because, you know, the truth is Santa has questions for you, because you are the smartest person
He needed some explanation. He wasn't even sure how he was doing this.
Exactly. Okay. So our first question comes from 3-year-old Luca.
Santa, how do your reindeer fly?
I'm really glad that Luca asked this question because this really gets to the heart of Christmas. If the reindeer can't fly, we're not getting presents. But actually, it's very logical. So there's something called the Bernoulli principle, and this is exactly how an airplane flies. Now, as a wing extends from an airplane and it accelerates forward, air moves quickly over the wing, or in this case, the antler. And as air is displaced, it decreases the pressure up here and creates a low-pressure system under the wing or the antler and lifts the plane or the reindeer off the ground. Now, you can actually see this in action at home. It's very easy. If your kids just have a piece of printer paper and they hold it just under their lips and blow very hard, the paper goes vertical out because you're decreasing pressure right above it. That's exactly, Luca, that is how reindeer fly.
So impressive.
Okay.
It's amazing.
You're 1 for 1. These kids are very smart.
I didn't realize I was being scored on this.
Well, no, I'm just saying. I mean,
That's just the truth.
Aubrey has a question though for you, and this has something to do about Santa's eating habits.
Oh. Hey Santa, what's your favorite cookie?
Well, truth be told, Santa is not picky when it comes to cookies. He likes all of them. But what is important is that you put cookies out for him. He doesn't care what they are, but he needs to eat them. And here's why. As his sleigh is moving through the air, he has to maintain a certain balance. So at the beginning of the night, let's say the sleigh, like this scale, is loaded up with presents. Now, every time he leaves a present, the sleigh gets a little bit lighter. Now, he has to offset that weight with cookies so that the weight stays the exact same. Because if he's not maintaining a specific balance around the world, then the sleigh is off kilter and he can't deliver presents to you. So every time he leaves a present, he has to eat cookies.
And you know what? And if he doesn't eat them, he just needs to put them in his sleigh. He will take them back to the elves and to Mrs. Claus. They will get eaten, but it has to. You have to balance it.
Wow. Balance is important.
You know, he can't eat all those cookies at once. He's going to get sick.
Sure.
Speaking of the elves, Gretchen has a question about the elves.
Hey Santa, how many elves do you have working for you?
You want to know how many elves he has working?
Okay, so in order to answer this one, we had to do some math. So there are about 378 million children that Santa has to visit every year. And if you do the math, with 378 million kids, if you assume that each of them is getting one present, well, then we did some math and we assume, let's say an elf can make one present every day. There are 365 days in a year, and that means that throughout the year you can you have 1,035,616 elves to accomplish this task in one calendar year. If each of them is making one present a day every day of the year.
Wow. That's a lot of elves. That's a lot of elves.
Yeah. I hope he takes some cookies back to them.
Yeah, that's
He has
to, because there's the gifts.
As long as the weight is balanced, it's fine.
The next question, I have to say, could only come from Ken's daughter, Coco, because it is brilliant. And all I have to say is she's as smart as her dad. Take a listen.
Mr. Dan, does Santa use Einstein's relativity to fly?
Now, I want everyone to know, Ken did not give her the question. That came
her
from...
preschool class, her kindergarten have this game, Are You Smarter Than Einstein? So she's been talking about Einstein. What is he famous for? What does he look like? And so she's been obsessed with Einstein.
Well, she's a very smart young woman, and I'm actually going to borrow an ornament over here to help us explain this, because truth be told, I don't think Santa could travel without Einstein's theory of relativity. Now, the theory of relativity helps us explain the difference between gravity and acceleration, but the other thing it tells us is that you never can tell which is moving depending on your point of view. So from us down on the Earth, we don't feel the Earth moving, right? We think we're standing still. So for us, it looks like Santa is traveling around the globe. But actually, Santa's way out here in space. So from Santa's perspective, the world is moving and he's standing still. This makes time travel and visiting every country much easier.
Mr. Dan, Mr. Dan, we have a question
Yes.
from Paige and Kristen and Sophie and Kim and Debbie and Shirley and Orly and maybe not Dr. JJ, but she's smart. But what is Einstein's theory of relativity?
How much time do we have?
All right, our next question comes from 4-year-old JD. He wants to make sure that Santa is feeding his reindeer.
Santa, do I get Rudolph for food?
What are you giving?
I mean, this is fascinating because I think most of the time when we see pictures of the North Pole, it's covered in snow. So it looks like there's no food for the reindeer. But actually, I was granted a few really special pictures from the PR department of Santa's workshop. This is actually what the North Pole looks like when it's not covered in snow. It's these beautiful fields of moss, and it only grows in one place in the world. And this is what flying reindeer need to eat. This is why they don't come from, Colorado or Wyoming. There are no moss fields in Colorado or Wyoming.
Wow. That's fascinating, as are you.
I try.
With some wonderful
We
information.
love you, Dan.
Head over to our Facebook page. Dan has answered more questions about Santa than he can count, but they're there. We'd love to get some of your questions, and he'll go digging up some of the answers.
Amazing. We love you, Dan, and tell Santa we love him too.
I'll report back.
Next, we are sharing some of our very favorite Christmas memories from childhood. Come on back, everybody.